and also South Korea vis-a-vis North Korea. That's mainly their trade. And I think in the past we already know there is some illicit money transactions just from the South Korea to North Korea. Also a lot of support to North Korea. And just wonder why the North Korean leadership had such radical measures. Maybe just you would like to have some ideas. And the second question I have is a dramatic vis-a-vis gradual unification. And I want to know the rationale or the general consensus in South Korea vis-a-vis the Korean Peninsula reunification. Because when I was young, I was educated there, and usually we think our wish is to have the reunification. And just because a lot of politicians, also leadership in South Korea, said gradual reunification or unification of Korean Peninsula, which I don't know, maybe just in the interest of South Korea. But as you mentioned, we had just a news broadcast about the North Korean contingency, as you mentioned right now. And the third, question that I want to raise is about the 주체 philosophy that North Korea maintained vis-a-vis, your presentation. Main theme was North Korea is giving up its autonomy in the management of its currency, and also maybe relying on South Korea in its purchasing, relying on the South Korean vendors. And I wonder whether that's really executable or implemented or accepted by North Korean leadership. Maybe some basic questions my impression after this.
Yeah, again, thank you very much for your question. And I think the number one question and number four question, they are in the same category. So the rationale for them is simply they are not nice people. They don't care about the welfare of the people. So I'm very frustrated. I'm just an average person, and whenever I read the Korean newspaper, they are suffering from hunger and all kinds of persecution, so on and so forth. We have to do something about it. So all the way, every morning, whenever I read the Korean newspaper, I'm really depressed. So what do we do? And then, so again, what I'm saying here is, I really want to trigger a discussion whether or not they accept or not. It doesn't matter. So I believe here, as audience, because you working in all different capacity in many agencies, and you evaluate the effectiveness of this suggestion or idea. And then number two, the illicit transactions. Again, I said, we have the forensic balance of payments. I don't know, so based on that paper, in my opinion, the percentage, the weight is negligible. Okay, and then finally, your question is about the gradual unification over emotional, political unification. We have to be practical. We have to learn from, Chairman Deng Xiaoping from China. I mean, they were, even though Hong Kong is their country, still they allow market-based economy, including Macau. So as long as the leaders make people happy, they can experiment anything. So I don't know. Yeah, I also grew up with your so-called 1970, 1980 mentality. But as I live in the United States for about 30 years, economic prosperity is important for whoever living in this world, in my opinion.
Another question, yes.
Dr. Jeong, thank you so much for your insightful presentation. My name is Bradley Song. I'm from the Korea Economic Institute. I had a question about the wonization. So, how exactly will it affect the South Korean economy, and more specifically, how will it affect the inflation in South Korea? And realistically, is it realistically possible in times of such economic crisis?
Okay, that's a very good question. And I don't think that, in my opinion, impact of inflation in North Korea to South Korea is going to be, in my opinion, minimal. Of course, we have to do a lot of econometric estimations for first in theory, but on the other hand, because their level of price is very low. So even though there inflation there, okay, in Korea and South Korea's price level is very high compared to the level of North Korea. So even though significant inflation in North Korea, in terms of percentage, in my opinion, that's big, but in terms of amount, either it's US dollar or South Korean won, in my opinion, would be minimal. I mean, we know we have a factor auto-regression model, right? And we can decompose, source of inflation, to many different sources like North Korea, United States, China, so on and so forth. And so I believe, because of the size of trade at this time with North Korea, and then sooner or later. But I don't think there's going to be nowhere near to trade between South Korea and China, between South Korea and United States. I think inflation in China is more scary, it's more worrisome than inflation in North Korea, because simply I say because of the size of the trade. And I believe, in my opinion, at this point, the absolute price level in North Korea is way below lower than China. Hopefully, I answered to your question.
And also the possibility of this happening anytime soon.
I think so. Based on the, as I said, I'm just every Jando, right? And then as I read the Korean newspaper, something going on. I mean, it's the symptom of something is imminent. Like we saw, for example, Romania, right? Or East Germany. That's my personal view. I'm not in that area at all.
I wanted to raise a question about the discussion of the possibility of adopting the South Korean won as the currency. Basically, that becomes the currency for the instance. If we take as given your presumption, which is the same as mine, namely that the North Korean authorities are interested solely in survival and have zero interest in the welfare of anybody except the ruling elite. I wonder if you weren't underestimating the amount of loss of economic control that's implied by a policy of monetization. You have obviously the loss of monetary control. And also, there's a loss of fiscal autonomy in the sense that it is impossible, it would no longer be possible to have debt monetization. It would essentially not be possible to have any kind of debt issued because it would have to be issued in a normal market in which buyers of that debt would be willing to purchase it. If monetization is to be thoroughgoing, that implies, I would think, that incomes would have to be received in won, which would raise questions about control of incomes. And in addition, how would those incomes be earned? Well, you would have to, that implies that you would have to have more extensive market activity so that people could earn the income. And yet in all those areas, the authorities seem to be extraordinarily resistant to any loss of control of any kind. And so it seems to me that while I sympathize with your desire to have the North Korean economic system change, it would seem to me totally against the best interests of the ruling elite in North Korea to do any of this whatsoever.
And then, lots of, autonomy issues, like, European Union, 16 countries, they voluntarily gave up their autonomy monetary policy. And so, also, like as I said, El Salvador and Ecuador, they did the same thing. So, in terms of loss of autonomy, I mean, they have to make a decision at this point, I think, first, that it's an economic issue. It's a critical issue. I believe, the possibility of, I don't want to say revolt, but unhappiness about what's going on economically in North Korea. So anyway, they are exposed to a serious risk. So they cannot have, everything simultaneously. They have to lose something. And then also in terms of initial circulation of South Korean won and the control of income, as I said earlier, South Korea, they have to think about